Web3 in Africa is moving beyond bars, reshaping how people transact, create, and collaborate. Now, decentralized finance offers banking alternatives. NFTs open income streams for creators, and big firms test blockchain in payments and supply chains. Yet, regulation, fraud, and weak infrastructure remain major hurdles. The real test is whether Africa can turn these shifts into global leadership in decentralized innovation. This morning, I'm joined by Chukwuemeka Ezike, who is a Web3 expert. Chukwuemeka, thank you so much for jumping on this conversation.
Thank you for having me, and it's good to speak to News Central, the Web3 narrative in Africa, looking at how it could leapfrog our growth in several areas and economic, transactions.
Of course. Let's get into it now. Sub-Saharan Africa saw over $205 billion in on-chain value in the last 1 year. So are Africans trusting DeFi more than banks now? Or are we still a long way short of that reality?
So it's the better way to say it is saying that the DeFi infrastructure is a support layer for the traditional finance. So, for example, the limits that the traditional finance infrastructure have, the decentralized infrastructure has come to optimize those limits. So what will happen in the future is seeing where both TradFi and DeFi shake hands to optimize the flow of financial instrument for the locals in Africa, and is making the economy more global, connected for the African players. Like me, I travel a lot, and if I depend on only TradFi for my transactions globally, I would be limited to what I can actually do with my money in the bank in Naira. But I can easily, navigate the global financial landscape, because I kind of mix the TradFi infra and the DeFi infra, and that way I could easily, make use of my Naira through different possibility that has been made possible by the DeFi infrastructure. So it's a thing of, let's say, a support system that the DeFi would be, not really that people is going to shift. At the end of the day, you use the DeFi, you're going to shake hands to buy a bottle of drink in ShopRite with Naira. No matter what you do in DeFi, you're going to still use the legal tendency in the US. You're going to use the legal tendency in China, Thailand, or wherever you're in the world. So it's just a way to optimize global finance. So I don't see it as a replacement or trust has shifted. People are just finding ways to navigate both worlds and create a balance for their financial transactions. Thank you.
Nigeria, the West African giants emerged as Africa's biggest stablecoin market by transaction volume. So would you say that this collaboration and all is what is actually driving adoption rate, or would you say we're still lagging behind?
I would say it's the collaboration that is driving the growth, because, like I said, a lot of people are navigating the ways to be able to make transaction flow through the DeFi to enable them do their traditional settlements. A lot of institutions are, embracing the DeFi narrative of like especially the stable coin to settle transactions quicker, faster, and it's an alternative route for them to move money for, sometimes the faster you move money, the better for your business, cash flow, cash in, cash out, being able to, repatriate your income from a local investment. So at the end of the day, we look at it's a support system, and that is what has been a catalyst for the growth and adoption we see in Africa. A lot of diaspora has also figured out how to use DeFi gateways to be able to bring back investment back home to Nigeria or anywhere in Africa, Kenya, South Africa. So it's a good thing, and I feel that it's a shift that should be embraced by the system. Yeah, but when you're embracing such shift, you also have to put your eyes on to create a great framework that would support such shift.
So you are saying now that this collaboration and new technology driving the process within the ecosystem has helped to scale the hurdle of, let's say, naira volatility, foreign exchange shortages, in some cases demand for dollar-pegged assets, with some people seeming to be looking at more secure alternatives now.
Yeah, I would say it's giving people the alternative and not fully solving the problem, but it has made an alternative available for hedging, for sourcing for international efforts. So yes, it's an alternative rail. And at the end of the day, there will be an emergence where DeFi and TradFi would always find a way to sync and shake hands to make things work more feasibly for the whole ecosystem or the whole economy or the whole country. It's gonna work. I believe it's gonna work. So we'll see it gonna. The government, the policy regulators are awake to it, and we'll see that sentiments are shifting now, and there are policies that are showing that the embracement of the DeFi infrastructure and the traditional DeFi would happen. It's already happening. So, but we'll see that scale in the future. Yes, the collaboration has been what has made the adoption rate we see today possible. So, TradFi and DeFi are like brothers and sisters now. Like TradFi is a bigger brother, but DeFi is there to support. It's an alternative rail, and it's going to keep scaling up.
The way you say it, to make it sound as though it is infallible, like there are no errors, I'd like to find out, are there still some downsides to either TradFi or DeFi within the in-chain value?
Yes, there is downside. But the downside is that new technology like this comes with lots of weaknesses and loopholes. There are a lot of bad actors that would, due to it not being heavily regulated, they will take advantage of it. A lot of things could be happening. I can't say, but definitely even the TradFi, which has been existing for centuries or decades, also has its downside. There's still a lot of money laundering happening with the fiat currencies or the traditional FI. A lot of financial crimes happening both ways, So it's not going to be. No one can come and say that there is a safe haven of in the TradFi or the DeFi. But what we're saying is that with that downside, what the upside is more, we can optimize it and reduce the potential use for bad cases. So there are more positive side to this collaboration than the downside. We know that the downside exists. We've seen it. We've seen hacking. We've seen security breach. We've seen money laundering. We've seen we've had a lot of stories. People, doing shady deals using crypto. But at the end of the day, what we're saying is that it's not new to the financial system. Even the system that have existed for hundreds of years, still finding it hard to fix all the financial crimes in it. So what we're going to do is see that the policymakers and policy regulators are waking up to it. And we see that USA just implemented the Genius Act for the stablecoin. The Nigerian SEC is waking up and they're creating a policy framework for, the ISA Act is also to be helped to regulate digital assets. So at the end of the day, the same way all the industry players, stakeholders put hands together to regulate the traditional finance is the same way that the decentralized finance would equally get its own share of regulation.
Okay, so now that we see that there are downsides to it, fraudulent activities, money laundering and all, which might be actually fueling funding pullbacks. Now, we discovered that some African Web3 startups still raise early stage capital. So I'm wanting to ask, how are founders structuring the deals amid all these, cautious investors coming into play and all the gray areas not being addressed yet?
So they're Web3 focused investors who understands the landscape. There are traditional focused investors who do not invest in Web3. They do not understand the landscape. So those who understand, investors who understand the space and know it's a high risk, high reward space, are ready to take the early days risk. And the way they structure the deal is, it depends on how the project is. If it's based on equity deal, they structure it based on full-time equity deal. They could say, maybe take a certain part of the company in percentage, and no structure that they buy in at maybe a later round, depending on the evaluation of the company. Or there is a tokenized side of Web3 also, where instead of only focusing on equity of the company, they could decide to also buy a percentage of the token economy of the company, which is another new side of raising funds. It's like crowdfunding for the company, but it's just like launching stock, launching an IPO on chain, and the investors could decide to give you money, and they will own a percentage of that token economy. So there is two ways to it, but there is a traditional side to it, and there is a new disruptive side, which is the token economy side, where you can raise money with your token. Token are like cryptos, which are popularly known as crypto, are like the unique currency of an ecosystem, or you could say it's maybe a stock option for the company, which is digitalized, which is launched on the blockchain or on chain. So most investors in Web3 understand the landscape, and they're ready to take the risk. They know it's a high risk space, and they like I've worked with a VC firm which had $100 million capital to invest in Africa, and yes, we structured about 68 deals in Africa, South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, and all around. And at the end of the day, each deal comes as its own unique package. So I would say that the Web3 investors or VCs understand the landscape, and they are ready to play in it. So we cannot use the same telescope we use for the traditional investors to look at the Web3, because it's a new area and it has a lot of uncertainties for the investors. So yes, so there's a unique side to investing in Web3 startups.
Okay, so when you look at the big ecosystem as we close down on 2025, which sectors would you say are attracting the funds and will eventually close out strong by the end of this year?
I said payment would always win. I think the payment layers of the world, it's always needing solution. There was always a corridor that is not fixed. So payment will be the number one on the list, and second on the list will be stable digital currencies, stable coins, which is also still relating to payment, where I don't know if you've heard about the Nigerian launched stable coin. You've also seen the popular one, which is the US dollar stable coin. There are a lot of stable coins coming out around the world. So I think a lot of people will be interested in investing also in digitalizing of fiat currencies. Third on the list would look for reward asset. People are looking to tokenize reward traditional finance equities like Tesla stock, Dangote stock, MTN stock. I think that will be another real world use cases where the bond of government, companies that can tokenize federal government bonds and sell it to the global market would see a good interest from investors. And most importantly to note is that investors are also looking heavily to establish technology companies that are looking to implement Web3 use cases on there. Let me give an example. If tomorrow MoneyPoint is so big, but they decide to want to invest in implementing a Web3 infrastructure, they will easily attract investors because they've already won the market in a sector. So if they're interested in diving into DeFi, a lot of investors will already be ready to sign a check to them. So already established revenue-driven companies who are ready to implement Web3 infrastructure on their company would get an interest. Also, you have to know that there's some silent players which do not get a lot of publicity on media, which are infrastructural layers. This infrastructural layer, they create processing payments layers where most of the APIs are just used by most of the popular exchanges or payment solutions, but they are not popular. Investors love investing in those infrastructure because they run every rails you see in one way or the other. They provide liquidity infrastructure, they provide payout infrastructure, they connect you to the local gateway. So there's a lot of broad interest, of investment that, but if you look at it at the end of the day, it all somehow rails down to finance. Finance where there's cash in and cash flow, where the market target is quite large. And for now, it's not clear where the use cases in the medical sector or the agricultural sector is not really stable in those sectors, but the financial sector is really stable and investors are really putting in a lot of cash in investing in those areas.
Why is there a challenge in the agricultural sector? Because we understand that blockchain is being used for traceability and, of course, farmer pay.
So technologies are not miracle workers. They're not. They're not like. They're not going to. They're not just going to come and change a chaotic supply chain and make a miracle at once. There has to be a layer of stability in that ecosystem to be able to bring in that technology to optimize what is already existing. For example, first of all, we have to look at, is there stability in the supply chain sector of that, maybe agriculture or medics or that? What level of stability is the current traditional sector having? Even if you bring blockchain to an unstable, it doesn't mean it's just going to become a miracle worker. It's not going to just overnight take away a wand and solve all the problem in that supply chain. So the why I said that is going to be a problem is that I've also invested in agriculture. I know the supply chain is a little bit noisy and chaotic. So blockchain won't just solve a lot of problem we have in that ecosystem or even in the healthcare ecosystem. So it's going to be hard. That is why you see it's hard for you to see any major success for anyone implementing blockchain in agriculture, Medicare. It's really very difficult because there is a lot of instability. I don't want to point it out on this call, but that is the reason why it's very difficult to implement blockchain.
Yeah, I understand, but we may need to point it out because we understand that agriculture is a major money spinner on the African continent, a major contributor to Africa's GDP. And if we can infuse technology into agriculture, it might just be a big game changer in future economic collaborations and, of course, a discourse, so to speak. So is there a way we can make it stable? Is there a way we can, create a connecting dot whereby we can open that vista for more benefits?
So security is number one. I think for the agricultural ecosystem in Nigeria for now, the first stability it needs is for investors to be able to feel confident enough to invest in that area is security. For them to believe that the agro space in Nigeria is well secured, and that means that their investment is not going to be at high risk. So first, I think security, making awareness that there is a secure environment for agro investment. Secondly, it's also the provision of what kind of storage facility. Even if I have a blockchain, data imprint or NFT and all that, if I harvest the maize, what storage facility do I have maybe in Sokoto to ensure that my maize, is properly, the data that is transmitted on chain, because it's going to be transmitted from a source, right? Even if it's IoT using a DePIN device, it's going to be transmitted. There has to be a trust layer that there is a possible trusted data point that can say that every data uploaded on chain can be trusted for the investor, and this will have to start from the security layer. Let's put it at the baseline and fundamental that first of all, the security layer has to give a lot of confidence to people to invest in agro sector, and before investing in the agri, in the NFT or the blockchain part of it. So I think that is the major sentiment that is affecting that industry at large.
Well, it's quite nice to see that there could be some sort of connection in between a traditional business line or business chain and this technological advancement in terms of payments and data that can support the process. I'm just hoping that we can get to that point where we can optimize that particular sector. So even as we wrap up, Chukwuemeka, now as the NFT markets matures globally, how are African African creators using NFTs for income?
Well, I would say African NFT market is not a thing to talk about yet. There were just one or two guys who made a good hit from it, maybe a few couple of $10,000, and that was it. It's not an established market yet because I feel the reason why it's not established is that the NFT market in general is not also, it's like it's an unpredictable market for now. The only use case that I've seen in the NFT market is ID, where you can create identity on chain and use it to prove the identity or the source of that identity, which is also implementable for the creative industry, but it has not yet gotten that as adaptability as people might say. It's still very sketchy. Like I said, a few people have made maybe from artwork made a $10,000, $50,000, $20,000, or a few couple of thousands of dollars, which is fine. But at large, it has not really been harnessed at all. And this may be probably because the major artists in the industry, the big guys in the industry, do not. I don't think they see the incentive enough yet. Like let's say the likes of Burna Boy, Davido, Wizkid, maybe they've not seen the incentive enough to move to that class of using NFT to bring in revenue. Like maybe most of their albums should be in an NFT, a digital format where any stream could be traced, every playlist could be traced.
Yeah.
But for now, the industry has not been established. It's still in its it's not being even scratched. I don't think anyone is looking at it. I've seen a couple of projects. A lot of people have pitched to me, but like I said, the incentive to grow the industry is not yet clear enough. So I don't think it's an established industry.
Well, I actually know that Africa has the potential, and of course, it is a test bed for Web3 technology. I just hope that this can be largely infused and connected with the African system to solve real problems and bring the benefits home. Chukwuemeka Ezike, Web3 expert, thank you so much for your robust contribution on the show. It was nice talking to you.